month. I was like, what?
Holy
So yeah, right. So I was like, so I literally just looking for ideas and different perspectives of what we have someone here in the Cleveland market that's literally doing the purchase, repair, and then refining out, kind of what people have been doing with apartment buildings. He's doing them with Airbnbs on an individual house basis, and then just equitying out after a year and a half or a year. So it just kind of, it's an interesting model. So again, I am not an agent. I think we're closely approaching that becoming an issue. My wife has been an agent for about 12 years, 2 with eXp, and then before that it was 10 with KW. And so we just kind of been in the real estate, either rentals or her doing real estate for a few years longer than that. We bought 3 homes from our KW, her KW sponsor, and he basically sat her down and said, hey, it's time to become an agent. So that's how we're here. And, I'm not sure. I think she was meeting with a possible recruit at noon. So we will not see her on the call.
Awesome. All right. Well,
I'm going to stay muted though, because I work for the government and I have a radio that's probably about 8 inches from you. So if you ask me a question, I'll unmute, but you do not want to hear this radio traffic that goes on.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I just wanted to get an idea of kind of where everyone was at on the call, and then we could go into what our story is and how we're doing it and how we're being successful with it. So we had someone else just join. Aaron? Is it Aaron?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Aaron, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. So did we meet in Mexico?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. And where are you from?
Dallas, Fort Worth.
Dallas. Perfect. Are you doing any Airbnb currently in Dallas?
Just with my own personal properties, rentals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Well, Alex is going to come over here and we're going to do this thing together this morning. But we had a lot of agents reaching out to us, and we did get a chance to sit down and have dinner with Ronnie and his wife while we were in Mexico.
She's actually on the call, by the way, too.
Oh, good. Hi,
Amanda.
It was great meeting you guys down there.
Of course.
So, this is my other half. This is Alex. We run the business together if we didn't get a chance to meet you in person in Mexico. And I guess we're just gonna tell our story, how we're doing it. And if y'all have questions or whatever, we're here. We just felt bad because we had so many people reaching out to us like, hey, let's meet. And we just didn't end up meeting everyone. So that's where we are. So yeah, we got started. It's been about 2 years ago now. We started with our own personal property, and we put that on Airbnb. We moved to Mexico for a couple of months to take my dad down there for a treatment. And our house ended up doing really well. And we ended up paying our mortgage that month. And we paid for our beach condo in Mexico for the month. And so we're like, I think we're onto something. So we ended up, we had just purchased a house to flip because we were very heavily involved in the investment community as well. So instead of flipping that house, we ended up just renovating it and keeping it as a as a short term, as an Airbnb, and doing a cash out renovation or cash out refi on that. And then while we were in Mexico, we ended up buying a log cabin and ended up owner financing that and turning that into an Airbnb. So that's how we got started. And we owned all of those properties. And then one of those properties, the well went out. All of our properties are in Raleigh, North Carolina, by the way. And so the well went out and we were stuck paying a mortgage with no guests staying in the property for a couple of months. And so that's what got us researching and finding out that we didn't have to personally own the properties. And so we started doing, it was called rental arbitrage. Is everyone familiar with that word, arbitrage? Kind of, sort of?
I am.
Okay.
Can you explain it a little bit?
Yeah, so arbitrage is when you don't own the property. So you literally just go to the landlord and you pitch them on why you'd be good for them to rent to. And you end up just renting the property. You attach a lease addendum to your lease, because most leases are going to say there's no subleasing allowed. California, they call it master leasing. But everyone's on the same page when you do this, and the landlord is literally just renting you the house as if you are a normal tenant, and then you're putting this into your inventory on Airbnb and using it for marketing purposes. Like, that's what we do. We put these into Airbnb, but what we're really doing is we're using these properties to market for people who are moving from out of town. So we're looking for relocation people.
Yeah, I just got off the phone. Somebody emailed us about a little log cabin, and they're moving from Northern California.
Checkpoint to a TSM.
They're doing a 1031 exchange. They just called me up. They're coming in April 7th through the 22nd, and they want to buy a $700,000 to $800,000 property. So right there, they want to buy that, and then they want to buy multiple rental properties from us. So right there, we will give out to one of our agents on our team, in the Raleigh area, and we'll just get a referral fee. But we have these coming in multiple times a month. So we run the business. We do make, decent money on renting it month to month, but the bigger backbone, we get the big checks from selling these people, properties when they're relocating to the area.
And the biggest pull for that, really, yes, we're marketing for that on social media. We are just now getting into like Google ads and SEO and all that stuff. But really, we're just putting in our profile on the Airbnb itself that, hey, I have a real estate brokerage. I have agents. I have 40 agents in the area that can, show you around, show you the different towns, tell you what to do while you're in town, show you a house, whatever you need to do. And our website is directed towards, we are here to help you find your dream home as well. So we're directing everyone towards our website, which is pushing that. And so that's really, I think, why we're attracting a lot of those people. I've had people come to me time and time again, and they're like, no, we chose your property because you're heavily involved in the real estate community here. Your stuff in real estate, and we want to buy a house and we want to relocate. Or maybe we're looking at possibly moving. We just had someone else a couple weeks ago come in, and their whole family is coming down. And so it's five houses for their whole family. So that's something, a lot of people who are doing Airbnb are doing it for the money. They're doing it for vacation rentals, and they're getting these cool spots on the beach or the mountains where they can all do these amazing vacation rentals. And yes, that's going to pull in more money, but we're doing it more because of the leads that it generates. And if you can plug into these leads, and I quit selling houses in October. I'm just passing all of those leads to our agents. Right now we have 40 eXp agents that we pass leads to in our market. But our intention is to be able to pick up this business model and place it in different cities across the United States, one being California, if we can figure out freaking laws, and be able to feed our agents that way. Because the number one problem for all of us in eXp is getting your frontline to have qualifying agents. And if I can feed my frontline agents deals like this, then I'm not going to have an issue. Sorry. I'm not going to have an issue with, my agents not selling houses. So are you guys all building your rev share as well?
Yes, I am.
Yes. So yeah, when the whole rule takes effect, March 1st, we're going to drop a lot of qualifying agents. So we've got to figure out a way to either help them sell more houses or pass them referrals or do something to keep them in the game, or else we're going to miss out on a lot of money. So that's where we're coming from. But do you have questions about that? Anything up until now?
So oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Amanda, I have a question. Sorry, and I can redirect it to Ronnie because I'm not like 100% in this, so it might be something easy he can ask. But are all of your properties the ones that you rent, or because I know you said you own some, but are you saying like most of your Airbnb properties are the ones that you work out that deal where you rent them and then you rent them out, or most of the ones that you have the ones that you own?
Okay, so we owned our first 3, then we had the problem with the well, and then we arbitraged the other 9 that we got. And so we had 12, and then just like right now, we're renovating a property right now from a long-term rental, and we're turning it into a short-term rental. So we'll have 13 properties, 4 of them we own, and then all of the other ones that we're arbitraging. We have another one coming up. One of our investors is buying a property closing in March, and we already have an agreement with him to rent that one as well. So that'll be our 14th. So we'll have 10 arbitraged.
But the thing
Wow.
is, the guy that just bought this Airbnb or bought the rental property, he stayed in one of our properties for 2 months straight, paying $3,200 a month. And then he already was in contract with another agent before he met us. But he bought $1 million piece of property for his personal house. We missed out on that. But now he has 4 or 5 houses he wants to buy and let us manage. So there's benefits. You know, once you build up, you know, your couple houses, people see what you're doing. And now, like all our landlords, every time they get, you know, landlords usually have multiple properties. They just don't have one. Every time a property comes available, we're the first person they call. And now we get to like pick and choose. Oh, you know, the house has to be more updated. It's not in the right location, but they will call us first because they know how good we keep up with the properties.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How are you locating the properties that you're picking? I mean, I doubt you could do this through another agent and, you know, home on the MLS, or is it just single landlords trying to do their own thing, or?
Yeah, we stay with the private landlords. We try to stay out of the HOA neighborhoods, the condos, the apartments. We do not mess with any of that. We try to stay off, you know, you can find some on Zillow, but most of that's property management. I tried my hardest to partner up with a couple of property managers. Hey, I'll pretty much take over your portfolio. Let me run everything. They don't want anything to do with it. I tried. If you know somebody that you're in cahoots with, you can maybe do it, and that'll be great for both of y'all. But just with me, I'm finding most of my stuff on Craigslist, and then a couple things on Zillow. And, you know, just word of mouth too. You know, some of our friends rent properties, so you got to make sure you're doing your Facebook, you know, getting out there, say, hey, I'm doing Airbnbs. If you have properties, let me know. Like one of her girlfriends, we rent from her, and then she called up, hey, we got another property. So we got 2 from her. So it's just, you know, word of mouth like that too. But you want to do it with private landlords and kind of explain what you're doing. And when we go into the properties, we tell them, hey, my girlfriend owns a brokerage in the area. We use this as a marketing tool. We have our clients stay here in between buying and selling, you know, transactions with our company, and they love it. They're like, oh my God, that's a great idea. So you just got to build rapport with the landlord. A lot of people try this. They don't have a pitch for the landlord. Us being agents, you know, we have more responsibilities. They look up to us as an agent, and it's an easier foot in the door.
Yeah, and something else is the more you do this, I'm very active on social media, and now that I'm teaching courses on this, so now I have all these agents as well that are active on social media, and we kind of all have each other's back in our area. So there's a lot, if you're not already a member of like your community groups, there's Ladies of Holly Springs, there's Raleigh Housewives, there's like all these different community groups, and like moving to Raleigh, like all these Facebook groups, and I'm sure they're in your city as well. Just start researching and join all those groups and have your friends join those groups. And then when someone posts on there that they have someone coming into town, needs a place to stay, like I usually am not even the first one referring myself. It's somebody else referring us, and they'll tag me in the post, and then I just go to that post, and then I put our website in. And just direct everyone to the website, and then they can book they can't book on my website. They actually get redirected to our Airbnb right now, just because I'm dealing with some real estate commission stuff on that. But yeah, that's what happens. Like when you get the word out and you get people knowing what you're doing. And I mean, just always posting about Airbnb stuff.
Is there a form that you're utilizing with the landlords? You know, because I know you're taking the lease and then you're reletting it basically, but short term. But is there a form that you're using or a document of some sort?
There is, yes. So I just use the normal standard North Carolina rental contract. And then I have a lease addendum that an attorney drew up. And so it pretty much just says that the landlord understands that we are going to be putting the property on Airbnb. And so we are going to be subleasing that out. That's one of the clauses on there. There's 5. The other one is that we're going to be taking off the front door, the lock, and we're going to be putting a remote lock on, which is an electronic lockbox, because in the standard lease, it says like you can't change the locks, but our addendum overrules the standard lease. So it has that on there. And then we also put on there anything that breaks on the property under $200, we fix it. And so it's our responsibility. And then anything over $200 is their responsibility if it wasn't caused by the guest. And so that makes them feel nice and fluffy, because, you know, running an Airbnb, if there is a cabinet door that is not closing correctly, we're going to go in there and fix it. You know, they're not going to get that with a normal tenant.
Yeah, we had 15 long-term properties, and you know, they were great. All our tenants were good, paid on time, but they just didn't keep up with the property. You know, they had pets. They didn't tell you about water leaks. They're like, oh yeah, it's been leaking. I put a coffee cup underneath it to catch the water when it rains. You know, some of the subfloor rotting out in the bathroom because the toilet or shower, you know, was leaking, and it was just a headache. So we ended up, you know, selling those properties. We had a bunch of equity in them, sold a lot of those properties, paid off some debt, and then we took $100,000 cash and we went out and got these properties arbitrage. In our market, it cost about $10,000 to get into a property, and that's with the first month's down payment that you get right back as soon as you start renting it. The furniture is about $5,000 to $7,000. We buy some new stuff, but we get a lot of stuff off like Marketplace and Craigslist. But you know, like all the couches, kitchen tables, the big chunks of furniture, we found a guy off Facebook. He gets 18 wheelers of furniture in each week. So we get all brand new, was showroom model floor furniture. So we get that from him. Great deals, you know, $400 for a big sectional. Like, you can't beat it. But, and then just the deposit. So if anything were to go south, you know, you get back your first month's rent. You can sell your furniture, at least get half of that back, say $3,000, $4,000, and then you get back your deposit.
Well, you don't get back your first month, but we're profitable our first month. So we haven't gotten in. Well, we did have one property that was not profitable. We got rid of it. But normally, you know, you get back the entire amount of your first month, because you're in that house within the first 3 days and you have it on Airbnb.
So can I ask a couple questions? Because from your profile, so you're using your Airbnb profile, and that is basically saying you're a relocation realtor, and you're linking them back to your real estate webpage to try to capture leads out of it and people to stay in your Airbnb. So you're just kind of linking both through social media and both your real estate page and your Airbnb host page, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then the second question was,
let me correct one thing on that. The only thing I'm not doing is I don't have anything about the Airbnbs on my AG Williams Realty by eXp on my KV Core website. I don't have anything about it on there because I don't want to bring eXp into it for marketing issues. I just don't want to deal with that.
okay. Sorry, I'm taking notes here as you're, and then the other thing was locations. Are you at all targeting these relocation areas, or your Airbnbs kind of based on where you think they're, you know, are you, let's say you have this great city on a great smaller suburb of Raleigh, are you targeting that with an Airbnb, or are you just staying where you think Airbnbs are going to be successful, or wherever you can get someone to agree to arbitrage with you?
We're in 6 areas of Raleigh, and not all of them are Raleigh addresses. They're all within 30 minutes of Raleigh. So
Okay.
if you have Raleigh and you have all these little outskirts cities, we're in a lot of them. There's only a handful that we're not in, only because we haven't found properties in those areas. But I would like to be in all of those areas, because people are going to be coming. People live everywhere. Like if you're within 30 minutes of downtown Raleigh, there's a market for that, because people have family that lives in those areas. And that's why they're looking in that area, because they want to be close to the family. They want to buy a house close to the family. And we're in a really good market right now, and our area is growing. Like there's not really a place that no one's wanting to move within 30 minutes of Raleigh.
And the thing is, the reason we have them in all these little hubs outside of Raleigh, because Raleigh was actually going to crack down January 1st and pass a law where you can't do short-term rentals inside the city limits. So we knew that. So before we started this, we were getting outside, you know, the Raleigh city limits, just in case they did pass the law. But in October, we ended up voting in 6 of the 7 city council members are all pro Airbnb.
6055.
So they're all pro Airbnb. So like even the new mayor that came in, she's all about Airbnbs and, you know, growing the Raleigh area. The people that were voted out, they were all old money, older generation. They've been in, you know, the council for 20, 30, 40 years, and they didn't see the potential, you know, of having it. So that's why we got them on all the little hubs on the outside of, you know, Raleigh city limits. But I picked one in each little town. I was like, I'm going to see which one does better in each little town, but they all ended up doing great. So, you know, some's 30, 40 minutes from Raleigh, and people just come for family, for work. You know, we have hospitals, you know, Duke and Chapel Hill are like 2 big of the hospitals, and, you know, the nation, people get flown in, you know, for that. We got 3 colleges, you know, NC State, Duke, Chapel Hill, you know, right there within 20 miles from, you know, all our properties. But, you know, most of our properties are just family, work, and those 2 other, you know, hospitals and schools. And we do a 3-night minimum to keep out all the partying. You know, people usually don't come to Raleigh, just come for the weekend to party. You know, it's not a big touristy town. You know, there are some events that go on, but we do a 3-night minimum just so we don't have Friday and Saturdays booked up. Because, you know, if they do that, it's only 8 days a month and you're losing money that way.
What's your guys' normal lease? How long do you usually lease these properties for?
At the beginning.
We start with a year, unless, like, we did one for 6 months just because it was inside the city limits of Raleigh and we knew that that rule was coming. So we did a 6-month with her, but now we're just month to month with her. So we're doing year-long leases and to start. And then if it's a property that works, like we would, well, especially if we go in and we fix it up, we want a 2 or 3 year lease on that property. Like one of them, we just went halves with the landlord to put in all new flooring. And so for that one, we're like, yeah, we want to go ahead and sign a longer term lease on this because we just invested, you know, a couple grand on this property. But yeah, I wouldn't start with the long-term lease just because you don't really know. I mean, there was one, we failed on one property. Oh, yeah. It was a Durham property. And to this day, I don't know why it failed. It was 2 miles from downtown Durham. Like people who are booking these Airbnbs, they don't go drive by them before they book them. You can't tell on a map that the area is bad. Like there's no way of knowing. And so that property failed. And we signed the contract before the renovation was done. Don't ever do that. If a landlord's like, oh, I'm going to be fixing it up, go ahead and sign. No, don't do it till it's done. Because for that particular property, we went in, they left the cracked tile in the kitchen. Like, it was terrible. We went in, we would put in all new floors in the kitchen. They had the bathroom, like the vanity was so big, you couldn't even sit on the toilet. So like we jacked the vanity out, put a little tiny pedestal vanity in, put new flooring in there. And then the house didn't rent. We had it on the market for almost 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And not one single guest. And we ended up lowering the price. Like, I think we were down to like $60 a night for a 3-bedroom house.
And then that just attracts bad clientele that way. You know, the people that did rent had parties, not parties, but gatherings, trashed the
Yeah.
house, didn't care.
A lot of smoking marijuana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we told the landlord, we're like, I'm sorry, but this is just not working for us. So we completed your renovation, keep the security deposit, let us out of our lease, and let's just go on about our business. And she did.
Yep.
Okay.
They're liable to work with you because they know, you know, you're trying to run a business. If it's not working, you know, they kind of not feel bad, but they know where you're coming from. So, you know, as long as they can keep their lease, you know, the deposit, and then try to get somebody in there within that time, they could even prorate it. You know, if it only takes 15 days to get a new person in, they will work with you that way too. So,
Are you paying them extra on top of what they're asking for just simply because it's untraditional?
only twice, you know, a landlord said, since you're running it as a business, making money, will you give me an extra $50 a month? Of course.
That's a done deal, right?
You know, I have went in, you know, a couple people and offered them, you know, more money. I offered a guy another $100, $200 because the rent was only $1,100. It was a nice 3-bedroom house, like super nice. I was like, I'll give you $1,300. But he ended up renting it to some preacher guy that he already promised, you know, before he met me. So I understand that. But he said he had 3 more properties and he called me up about, but they just weren't in the right shape, you know, for Airbnbs. But Airbnb has to be really updated, nice. It can't be your traditional rental property, you know, with stained carpets and bad vanities and
Right.
old nasty bathtubs, and you know, it has to be real nice. So
Right. That
you got
makes
to pick and choose. You know, at first I was trying to get every property possible. You know, I would walk in, you know, look over, you know, the houses were furnished, half of them, you know, when I walked in, I just look over the bedroom, you know, stuff on the floor. But then when they cleaned all their stuff out, it's like, holy shit, look at these carpets. I'm like, so, you know, we'll get steam cleaned, but then it wouldn't get clean. So then that's the one property we had to, you know, replace the carpets. But, you know, like the landlord paid half. We were like, hey, would you consider replacing the carpets? Like, no other tenant has ever asked her this. She thought we were stupid. But she actually went in half. You know, it was $2,000. I think we paid $1,100, and she paid $900. But, you know, I told her, you know, with getting these new carpets, there will never be any pets in there. You know, that won't be damaged. You don't have the same walk pattern. Like, you have a rental property, you have the same guy that weighs 300 pounds walk the same pattern every day, all day. You know, so it wears down the carpet and stuff. But I don't know, it's just different little things like that. With these short-term rentals, you do have the benefits, and they do like you renting the properties because you keep up with it. It's pretty much a free property manager without paying the 10% on top.
Right. Right. No, that makes sense. Another question I had is, how did you come up with that lease addendum that you do with the attorney? Or do you have a copy of that, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I do have it. I do give it away in the course with a disclaimer because I took that from someone else, and he's like, you know, just make sure to do this disclaimer and just make sure to edit it yourself, or, you know, edit it, have an attorney edit it. And so I do have that in the course, but I tell everyone, like, just take it to your attorney and make it yours.
Right.
You know? Because not every state is going to have the same rules. Not every, you know, I use the standard North Carolina rental contract. So my contract could say something totally different from your contract. So that's something, you know, as long as you just have an addendum, and you can have someone write one up. I mean, you can read through mine and write one up, but as long as it's saying that that addendum overrides the lease that you signed with them, the original lease, and then just state in there everything that you're verbally saying to them that's going to be different, right? Like, hey, I'm going to be changing the locks. You know, I'm going to be Airbnb, and I'm going to have a different insurance policy. You're not going to have a normal renter's policy. You're going to have an actual short-term rental policy on this property. So it's going to be triply insured. And they love that because Airbnb has $1 million policy. They have the normal homeowner's insurance policy. And then we come along and we're like, oh, well, we have another short-term rental policy that we're paying $700-800 a year for. And so they really like that.
Right. That's a good selling point.
Yep.
Who are you acquiring your short term? I just got all my stuff started renewing for my properties I personally own, and the first page on every one of them said short term rental exclusion. So I don't even know if I'm insured at this point on the one I have operating and the one soon opening. What company is it? Local? Is it a national?
Okay, so the one that I recommend is Proper. Proper Insurance. They do a lot of Airbnb insurance, and that's what I have all my students taken right now, or they're getting all of their insurance policies through them right now. Now for the ones that we own, we have so many insurance policies. Farm Bureau or Nationwide? I think Farm Bureau did it for us, because we have a commercial policy as well. So Farm Bureau, I think, is the one that is doing the most for us right now. Well, and Proper.
Okay. And you shouldn't see a premium over $800 or $900 for a 3-bedroom yearly, right?
Not unless you're trying to do loss of income, which we started out, we were like, yeah, we want loss of income. So if something happens to the property and we can't rent it on Airbnb, we want to be able to recruit, $3,000 a month on this property. That was stupid. Like, the insurance on that was over $2,000 a year. And we're like, when is this ever going to happen? Like, we're spending more on insurance premiums than if we were going to actually have the thing that were happen. Like, so we didn't do that.
And if that were to happen, something happened to the property, the landlord should reimburse you for those days. Like, a well went out on another one of these properties. We had to have a guest leave the property, put them in another one of our Airbnbs. The landlord had to go fix it. Took a week. They offered to refund us the whole month's worth of rent. They're like, I'm so sorry for your inconvenience. You had to pay back. Your guest remaining days was like $300 for 2 nights. And then the landlord, excuse me. And then the landlord offered to pay us, the whole month. We, she's a great friend. We just took half, because we did have to pay back $300. I think the rent's like $1,500. So she ended up giving us, she gave us $750 for it being off the market for a week, and she fixed the well. We didn't have to come out of our pocket. So, there is benefits. If we would have had that insurance, yes, they would have paid us, but, the landlord will work with you on it.
That's why we're really only doing arbitrage at this point. Like, it just makes so much more sense just to do arbitrage, because if something big were to happen, our long-term rentals right now, I've got a roof that needs to be replaced, $7,000 for a stupid roof on a 700 square foot house. And I'm like, this is stupid. So that's why we decided, we were like, look, we are pretty close, if not at the top of the market. Let's get out of some of these long-term rentals. Let's shift over and arbitrage for a little while, see what happens with the market, make some cash now, feed our agents right now. And then when the market goes back down, we will be in a position at that point to jump back in the market and start doing what we did in 2013 with the owner financing and getting all these properties that are going through, some difficult times. So I think you really just have to ride the market. And I think this is a really good way to ride it when it's kind of in like limbo. Like, we don't really know what's going to happen in the next couple of years.
So are all these single family like 322s or?
Yeah, most of our properties are 3.2s. We've got a couple 4.2s, 4.3s. We've got a 1.1, but the majority of them are 3.2s.
Yeah. And we usually do like 6 guests, you know, because the 3 bedrooms, we usually just do 6 guests.
Yeah,
You know,
that's important.
Yeah, with the 3-day minimum, you know, we don't get the partiers as much. We have 30 to 40 guests per month with our properties. I say 1 to 2, you're going to get, you know, not have blowout parties, but just don't take care of your property as people should. You know, they're all nice properties, but you get some of these renters that just don't care. But it's nothing big, you know, towels get damaged, sheets ruined, you know, it comes with the business, wine glasses broke, liquor bottles everywhere, weed all up in the house. But it's very few. We like really hammer them with the questions. Why are they coming into town? What are they doing? But it's funny. It's like even here, we're out here in LA staying at this big 3-bedroom house on the beach. And we were here for 10 days, but the guy called us up. He's like, hey, we got a whole house rental. You know, they're only renting one night. You got to find somewhere to go. We're like, well, we rented from you for 10 days. He's like, I forgot to mark it out on Airbnb. This happened. So we're like, all right, you know, we're going to stay with some friends for a night. Well, guess what happened with that one night rental? That 2 adults and an 8-year-old kid and a 10-year-old kid was going to be here. A party. So, you know, these people lie. These people come up with bullshit excuses. Like we had people, oh, my grandma's in the hospital. And a rapper coming into town for a concert, putting on a concert. Had all his friends and hookers at our house. Great.
That's why you have to have a Ring doorbell.
You know, you're going to get them, you know, but I try to weed them out as best as I can. You know, what can you say when they say, hey, my grandma's in the hospital, I'm coming? Nothing. Until you start seeing 5, 6, 8 people walking the door, you know, we call them right away. Hey, what's going on? Oh, you know, they give you an answer. We're just going to be here for a little bit. We're going out downtown. But, you know, it's just, you're going to get people like that. It's going to come with the business. But we just try to really stay away from, you know, the party scene. So it all depends what market you're in, you know.
All right, guys, we have a huge appointment coming up in Orange County. I just put into the chat. If you're not already following me, you can follow me on Facebook. I do more. It's at Amanda, the Traveling Realtor. And then I also put our business website on here, which is carolinafurnishedrentals.com. And then I also put, we have a course as well. It's refreedomformula.com. So we do like a 4-week course, and then we do some live stuff as well. So, but you can definitely, you know, obviously I'm on Workplace as well. So if y'all have questions, reach out to me that way or on Facebook. But we just wanted to really come on and help you guys and just kind of drop some ideas and just kind of come together and make this thing work. Cause I think we can really build our teams. We can build our brokerage by attracting more sales into our brokerage this way as well. So if there's a group of us that are just rocking and rolling with these Airbnbs, we're going to be bringing in a lot more sales for eXp.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
All right. Thanks, guys. If you have
Thanks for the
questions,
Thank
knowledge.
you so much,
Good
you
luck with your
guys.
meeting.
thank you. All right.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye.